Okay, all eyes right here. Okay, what did you guys come up with for the bell work problem? Y equals negative in parentheses x plus 5 squared, what? Minus 2. Whoops. This isn't working right here. I got to write it somewhere else. Let's do it down here. Y equals negative parentheses x what? X plus 5 squared minus 2. What do you guys think? Okay, yeah. What does the negative do? Flips it upside down. What does the x plus 5 do? Moves it to the left 5. What does the minus 2 do? Moves it down 2, right? Okay. Now, you guys, when I give you guys the test, you're going to be doing problems like this. I'm going to give you a graph, and you have to come up with the equation. Okay? So that's part of what will be on the test. I need to see if you understand vertex form of an equation. Okay? Our next test won't be until the second quarter. We do not have any more tests this quarter. I was thinking about having a quiz on Tuesday. How many of you guys like that idea? How many of you plan on retaking part of the test that we did? I would do it. If you want an A and you're getting an A minus or B plus, I would do it. It's the easiest way to make up points. Okay, now let me talk to you a little bit about a couple things. Okay, first of all, Grant, I'm talking, so you got to turn around. Okay, couple things. The extra credit assignment I gave last time, for some of you who weren't in here, it's on my website. Megan, you were asking about who else was gone last time. Okay, Michaela, anybody else? Okay, Christian. Okay, it's on my website. It's under an extra credit document. It's down there under files. So you just go there and you read it. You can do a report on a mathematician or a poster on something we learned or propose some other idea to me. Okay, so those are your 3 options that way. So it's due when, everybody? When's your extra credit due? Tuesday. Not today. Okay. So you got those choices. Now, remember, extra credit will only move your grade 1/3 of a letter grade. I will put everything else in, and then once that's all your grades done, I will move it up. If you're getting a B plus, I'll move it up to an A minus if you did a good job on it. If you don't do a good job on it, I'm not going to give you any credit for it. 0. It's either 0 or all. Okay, so do a good job on it. Kyle. It says on there 1.5 to 2 pages. Regular font, double spaced. Yes. If you have an A, it moves you 3%. By the way, my students of the month, guess what I base them on? Your percent. So if you're trying to if you got an A and you want to raise your percent up, I don't get to do student of the month every month. I never know which months I'm going to get it. They tell me which months I get to do it, but didn't we already do one for this class or not? I don't think I've gotten one for this class yet, so we're due. They should be asking me soon. Okay? So students of the month, that's how I based on is who's getting the highest percentage. So it just depends. That's not the only thing. If there's a couple people that are kind of close, what I do is I take into account how you work in class. You're working hard. So most of you guys do a good job. So all right. Hey, I want to answer a couple of questions on this assignment. First of all, on 7 through 12, I want to talk about those. I want to talk about number 10. Okay? Yeah, you know what? This thing sometimes makes mistakes. What do you mean there's 2 number 10s? Oh, yeah, it did, didn't it? I'm talking about the 10 down here in the middle of the page. By the way, the people who made these things, they sent out an email saying, please text us back our email us back our mistakes because we know we might have a lot of typos, but I should do that. Okay. X squared plus 2/3 x plus fill in the blank. Okay, now it asks us, on the next set of problems, leave the number that completes the square as a fraction, then write the trinomial factored form. Okay, to complete the square, you guys all know that we do what to 2/3? I divide it by 2. Or another way of thinking about it is timesing it by 1/2. If I times 1/2 by 2/3, that's the same thing as taking half of it, isn't it? And I could do this. I could either cross cancel and get 1/3, or I can go 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, and then simplify it to be 1/3. But either way you do it, you get 1/3, right? Don't forget to simplify it. So you get 1/3. That's half of it. And then what do you do with that 1/3? You square it. When you square it, you square the top number, and then you square the bottom number. 1 squared is 1. 3 squared is 9. And so you're going to get x squared plus 2/3 x plus 1/9. Now, okay, now it asks us to factor that. Well, we know we're going to have 2 factors here. I know the first part, since it's x squared, I know the first part's going to be x and x. Since this sign right here is plus, I know it's going to be plus and plus. And then the number that goes here is the number we just squared. What number did we just square to get 1/9? 1/3. We just squared 1/3, and that's what we got. Okay? Any questions? That's what we're doing on that part. It's written in factored form. Now, do you guys all recognize that this is the same thing? Does everybody recognize that x plus 1/3 times x plus 1/3 x plus 1/3 times x plus 1/3 is the same thing as x plus 1/3 quantity squared. This is what it's trying to teach you. We're going to be completing the square on some quadratic equations that are in standard forms soon, and you need to understand the relationship between all of this. It'll make it easier to complete the square. Okay, any questions? All right, now, I want to look at problems 25 to 28 down at the bottom. Okay. It's really easy. Find the intercepts of the graph of each equation. State whether it's an x-intercept or a y-intercept. Okay, if you have y equals negative 4.5, that's an equation of a horizontal line. Guess what x equals 9.5 is? An equation of a vertical line. Okay, if you'll notice this right here, this is the same as y equals mx plus b. This is like this is an equation of a line. The only thing is, the slope is 0. 0x minus 4.5. The y-intercept's a negative 4.5. If you graph this, you'd go down to 1, 2, 3, 4.5 is right there, and this is where the graph would be, right there. That's your graph. Negative 4.5. And the y-intercept is negative 4.5. Do we understand that? Yeah. Number 26, x equals 9.5. Okay, there's 10 right out there, right? Okay, 9.5 would be the vertical line going through 9.5 on the x-axis. That would be it right there. So 9.5 is the x-intercept. That's where it crosses. Any questions on that? Okay, any others you're having problems with on that assignment? Okay, I'm going to have you turn that in before we go today. All right, right now we are going to move to the lesson. And you guys, I got to tell you this. Yes? Number 11? The first number 11 or second number 11? Oh, yeah, I was going to go over that one. Sorry. Let's go over that one. Number 11 x squared minus 1/5 x plus, okay, this right here. Oh, yeah, I knew that. Okay, it says write a rule for finding the coefficient of the x term when multiplying and simplifying x plus q squared. Okay, if you multiplied x plus q squared, in other words, you went x plus q times what? X plus q. Does everybody understand that's what that means? If you multiplied it out, look, x times x is x squared. That's the first term, right? X times q is qx. Q times x is another qx, and q times q is q squared. Now, when it says write a rule for finding the coefficient of the x term, what is the x term? What is the x term? What do you mean by the x term, guys? In a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, which one's the x term? Bx, right? That's the x term. This is the x squared term. This is the constant term. Bx is the x term. What's a coefficient? What's the coefficient of this? Coefficient is a number in front of the x, so it's b is the coefficient. Okay? So down here, if I write this x squared and I combine like terms right here, I'm going to get 2qx, right? Plus q squared. Now, what is my coefficient right here, you guys? 2q is my coefficient. That's what's being times by the x, right? So what is a rule that we can write for, if I have two things like this, if I have x plus 3 quantity squared, what would I do to get that? Well, I would do 2 times q. What's q? What's q represented in here? What's 2 times 3? So I know my middle term is going to be 6x, right? You guys understand that? Huh? I just made up a problem. I took a problem that's like x plus q squared. I put 3 in for q, right? So what I do is I take x plus 3 times x plus 3. And if we multiplied that out, the first term is going to be x squared. The two middle terms are going to be 3x plus 3x, aren't they? And then 3 squared is 9. Well, the two middle terms, you add them together, and you get 6x. The fast way of getting that, according to this formula, is taking this number and doubling it. 2 times 3 is 6. What do you think? Are you talking about 5x plus 3, something like this? Squared? What do you guys think? Let's look at one. Okay, let's look at this. 5x times 5x is 25x squared. Middle term, 5x times 3 is 15x. 5x times 3 is 15x plus 9, right? And you get 30x. What would be a fast way we could have gotten that? 5 times 3 times... Yeah. Instead of just doubling this number, you have to times these two numbers together first and then double them. 5 times 3 is 15. Double is 30. It works for any problem. So, like, let's say I have 4x plus 2 quantity squared. I know that my middle term is going to be 4 times 2 is 8. 8 doubled is 16. So my middle term is going to be 16x. 4x and 4x is going to be 16x squared. So there's my first term. 2 times 2 is 4. There's my last term, and I'm done. It's just a fast way of multiplying. I do that in my head every time I multiply. I kind of skip the step where we combine the 2 in the middle. Because I do it in my head that way. And you can do the same thing. Okay? All right. Was that the last question on that one? All right, so everybody get your notes out right here. Okay, so our task today Graph each function and find the vertex, the y-intercept, and the x-intercepts. Be sure to properly write the intercepts as points. Okay, so now, is there a way? Yeah. Well, you guys, this form of an equation, the whole idea of this is to show you different forms of an equation. The nice thing about this form of an equation is that it shows you, in this form, it shows you the x-intercepts. Okay? It shows you the x-intercepts. It doesn't show you the vertex, though, in this form. This is not vertex form. So, but it does show you the intercepts. Does anybody know where the intercepts would be of this one? Not -1 and 3. 1 and -3 is the correct answer. Okay? But it has to do with these are factors right here. Okay? And let's draw a graph. Actually, I want you guys to do this on your own right here. I want you guys to graph it on your own. I'm going to give you a few minutes. Graph it. Find the vertex. I want you to do it by hand. I want you to graph it by hand. Make a table of values. Make a table of values. Graph it. And by the way, is this a quadratic function? How do we know it's quadratic? I don't see an x squared anywhere in here. Do you guys see an x squared? Yeah. If I distribute x minus 1 to x plus 3, I would get x squared. -1 plus 3 is 2, so plus 2x. 3 times -1 is -3, right? There's a different form of the equation. What's nice about this form? This one is standard form, and it looks like a quadratic, and guess what it gives you? It gives you the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? It's a -3. Because remember, if I put 0 in for x, remember how we just did that on that last assignment? If I put 0 in for x, that's 0, that's 0. The constant's -3. So 0, comma, -3 is the y-intercept. So I can get the two x-intercepts from there, the y-intercept from there. The problem is I can't get the vertex from this. I would need to put it in vertex form. Do you guys think you know enough to put it in vertex form? Okay, I want you guys to work on this. Just graph it by hand right now, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, I want you to do the same thing with number 2. I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes. I'm going to come around and see what you know. Okay, let's look at this one together. Okay? I want all eyes right here, because I thought you guys understood this, and most of you don't. Okay, so all eyes right here. Okay? First of all, you guys, this is called factored form, right? Factored form of a quadratic equation. When it's in factored form, it makes it easy for us to see what? Okay, the x-intercepts, okay? Factored form makes it easy to see the x-intercepts, right? That's the purpose of factored form, okay? And all I'm looking for is what number can I put in for x so that I get 0 for y. And it's really easy, because if you can make one of these factors 0, anything you times by 0 is 0, right? So what could I put in for this x right here, -2, and get 0? 2. If I put 2 in there, I'm going to get 2 minus 2 is 0. So I'm going to have 2 times 0 times 2 minus 6 is a -4. Well, it really doesn't matter what those others are. If one of them is 0, I know when you times them all together, you're going to get 0. So I know that 2 is one of my x-intercepts. And I'm going to mark 2 on the graph. Okay, then, what's the other factor? X minus 6. What can I put in for x minus 6 and get 0? 6. So 6 is my other x-intercept. So that's right here. By the way, does this parabola open up or down? How can we tell it opens up? There's no positives. Okay. How many of you understand the x-intercepts now? Okay, then I need your eyes up here. Watch the y-intercept. The best way to get the y-intercept is to put it in standard form. Okay, so standard form. Standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c gives the y-intercept. The constant is the y-intercept. So look, I'm going to multiply these together. Now, I had a lot of questions. Do I multiply 2 first by one of these? Or do I multiply them by both of them? That was another question. Or do I multiply the two binomials together? You guys, you can multiply the 2 by one of the factors. You don't multiply it by both, but you can multiply it by one of the factors first if you want to. But I think it's easiest to multiply x minus 2 times x minus 6 first. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to leave the 2 for the end. So I'm going to go 2 times x is x squared. X times negative 6 is negative 6x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12, right? Like that. I can add the two middle terms together. Get negative 8x. And then I can distribute the 2. If I distribute the 2, I get 2x squared. I don't know why that did that. 2x squared minus 16x plus 24. Now, what does that form give me? I just wrote it up here. What does that form give me? Gives the y-intercept. Which of those numbers is the y-intercept? C, which is 24. Why is 24 the y-intercept? Because if you put in what for x? If you put 0 in for x, you're going to get 24, right, for y? And that's what it is, 0, 24. Now, to graph this, you guys, since my graph doesn't go up to 24, I'm going to go up in, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. I'm going to go up in threes. So there's 24 right there. Huh? No, the x scale, I'm going to keep it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 3, 6, 9, and so forth, right? And this is 1, 2, and so forth. Okay? We understand that? Now, I showed you the trick for finding, so now we know the y-intercept is 24. I showed you the trick for finding the axis of symmetry. What's the trick for finding the axis of symmetry? Find what? Find the middle of the two x's. Where is the middle of the two x's located? At 4. There's the axis of symmetry. So I know my vertex is 4 comma something. How do I find the y value? I can plug 4 in for x. I can plug it into the standard form down here, right here. Or I can put it back up into this form we were working with up here. I like this form. 2 times 4 minus 2 times 4 minus 6. So I'm going to get 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and one of them is negative, so it's going to be negative 8. So 3, 6, negative 8 is going to be about right there, isn't it? And there is my graph. You got it? Do you see how standard form helps us get one thing? The zeros, knowing the zeros helps us get another thing, right? We kind of get that? All right, I got to show you something. I'm going to go to here. Let's say, you guys, I have something like 2x plus 3 times 5x minus 7. How many of you, by raising a hand, know how to multiply these two together? Okay, I'm going to show you a little thing that they do on here, and I've seen it before, but I've never used it, but I want to see if it's easier. What they do is they make a 2 by 2 squared. And they write one of the factors right here, like 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3. Or we probably ought to write it the other way, like this. 2x on top, 3 on the bottom. And 5x and a negative 7. And they fill in this box. What do I multiply together to get this box? 2x times 5x is 10x squared. What do I multiply together to get this one? 2x times negative 7 is negative 14x. What do I do to get this one? 3 times 5x is 15x. And this one is 3 and negative 7 makes negative 21. How many of you guys have seen this method before? How many of you use it? Okay. See these two? Those are my like terms. What do I get when I add them together? You get x. So my answer is 10x squared plus the x minus the 21. Okay, 10x squared plus the x minus the 21. That's my answer for multiplying them together. How many of you understand what we just did here? Okay, I want you to do this problem right here. In fact, it's the first problem on your assignment. I'm going to give you your assignment. You're going to do it. Yeah, you love something so much you wanted me to give them to you.
Especially on the weekends.
That's because you're probably your legs straight. That's up. That's what happens when you make your legs straight for a long time. When your knee locks in. It might be more locked than you think. Which one is it? The top one or the bottom one? It might be cutting off circulation the way you're sitting. I'm just throwing out ideas. I don't know.